Good morning, lovely Shay. How are you all this evening of your time as you create time to exist?
Okay.
We will, as you say, begin with questions.
I have a question.
All right.
I talked to you last week about my car burning oil.
Yes.
And we talked about oil pumps. And then I got an oil pump put in. It's called, what's it called? Oil metering pump, because there's two different kinds of oil pumps. So I got the oil metering pump. It's still burning the same amount of oil, it seems, except the only difference in the whole situation is that I found out that maybe that's the amount it's supposed to be burning in the first place. I guess that's one way to solve the problem.
All right. Allow yourself again to recognize that as you create within your life any type of symbol to represent certain ideas that are manifesting and unfolding within your physical life, you may then simply recognize that there may be opportunity too, in this sense. Allow yourself to know that the rate at which you are unfolding is exactly the rate you need to be unfolding in that way. You follow me?
Yeah.
And in that sense, you can then simply recognize that you are simply making a comparison between the acceleration of the energy within you now and the acceleration as you used to recognize it. You follow me?
Well, yeah, I follow somewhat.
All right. In other words, it will be that you have simply given yourself now the symbol of consciously recognizing that you can be aware of what the flow of energy is through you in that way. If you wish now, simply understand that that is the rate of energy that you are, I'll say, in a sense, burning, using. You may recognize in that way that you are now simply going to acclimate to that being your normal rate. And in this way, you may understand that you have already exceeded, to a degree, the idea of the symbol you have used in terms of what you call technology. In that way, there may be another type of adjustment that will symbolically represent the idea that you now will accept the rate at which you flow, and in that sense, it will not be a matter of having to meter yourself, but simply a matter of flowing to what is natural for you, allowing yourself the complete freedom of output on whatever level you wish to express it. You follow me?
Yes, I follow all that. I'm still, yes, I do follow you. I'm just, I got real concerned about it. I thought, well, anyway.
Are you able to go where you need to?
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Then what is your concern?
My concern is that as far as my car is concerned, my car's running great. It just seems to be burning more oil than I thought it was supposed to be burning. But it's running great. I wouldn't mind if I just put as much oil that I do put in.
All right.
As long as it doesn't get worse, as long as I didn't have to put more than that.
All right, but recognize that when you allow the purpose for that increase to be manifest within your consciousness, then the symbol you are giving yourself with your automobile will be able to transform in that way. The symbol, by the way, represents your increased level of abundance. You follow me? The opportunity to recognize that you are abundant and do not have to worry about how much you feed in terms of energy to yourself. You follow me?
Yeah.
You are not spending more than is necessary.
Uh-huh.
You follow me?
Yeah.
You do not have to be frugal in that way.
Mm.
The richness of the mixture is represented now in that way symbolically by the idea of the richness of your own mixture. You follow me? You are running rich. You follow me?
That sounds nice.
Therefore, there is no need for you to assume that you are overspending, that you are spending too much. You follow me?
You mean in all areas?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Then when you allow this symbol to reflect to you this idea that it is simply a new level of understanding of abundance, it will not seem that you are spending too much. You will understand the purpose for the symbol you have created for yourself in the physical reality, and you will allow it to transform into something else and not tax the technology of your car. You follow me?
Somewhat, yeah.
In other words, it will level out when you simply accept within yourself the idea that there is no need to compare. The idea of how much you are now needing in terms of energy to run and how much you used to. You follow me? How much you are expressing in that way. Simply in terms of abundance. In other words, you are simply saying, this is what it takes to run this car. Therefore, I have no qualms about putting that much in it. You follow me?
Yes.
Therefore, do not be frugal with the energy of yourself. If this is the energy it takes to do what you want to do, to go, to carry yourself, to transport yourself where you want to be, then take that much energy. It is yours, unlimited. You follow me?
Yeah, I do. You know, my big concern at first, like I got, because you said, if you get the oil pump changed, that'll handle the situation. And that's what I took it like literally, like, well, that means get the oil pump changed, I won't be using as much oil in my car. And then it didn't turn out that way. And then I started like going a little crazy with it until I realized that there was another way of looking at it.
Yes. The idea of changing the pump was so that there would be a newness to handle the capacity that would remain.
Yeah.
Not reduce the capacity.
Yeah.
You follow me?
To what? Say that again. I do follow you. Say that again.
The change of the symbolic pump was to represent the idea that there could be a newness to handle the increased capacity, rather than feeling that the increased capacity could not be handled by something that was worn out. You follow me?
Yeah.
It would not reduce the capacity needed. It would simply be able to channel it. You follow me?
Well, yeah. That's interesting. Different ways you can, if we get set on one particular way something's supposed to be, then you could think, you could invalidate certain areas of your life, not realizing that there's all different.
The multiplicity and, I would say, multidimensionality of perspective of the idea you call symbology then simply exemplifies the richness of perspective that makes up your particular realities. You can look at it from many ways in that sense. The one that vibrates in accord to what you are doing within your life, you will simply then know is the one that represents the reality you believe yourself to be.
Yeah.
You follow me? Thank you.
Thank you.
Question. All right, you first.
Okay. I have a question and then something to share.
All right.
And I understand you to say that one of the things your civilization is learning from us is the concept of analyzation.
Not so much that we are learning the concept, but we are now learning your particular usage and, I'll say, perspective of that idea with regard to the overall sharing of consciousness that we represent as counterpart consciousness. You follow me?
Yes. Okay. Well, that's really neat because in analyzing things to death, which we tend to do on this planet, which is great. I mean, it's really a part of sort of a uniqueness developed.
Yes.
And which we are able to share with others. And in that, we analyze things so thoroughly. We find that we must compare things sometimes, or within this context of analysis, we compare things, and then we also look at the subject of exchange. So, realizing that there was something that you learned from us, as well as the things that we learned from you, bearing in mind that we are both mirrors for each other, it kind of helped me see that we are in fact equal by seeing that there is an exchange
pretty good.
and that kind of thing. So, by our own uniqueness, we are able to see our equality.
Yes, very good. Teaching is learning, learning is teaching. Both blended with sharing.
Right.
Thank you.
Another thing, you also talked about illness being opportunity for growth and so on like that.
Yes.
And I realized that on this planet, since we do analyze things, we've come to believe that in order to get the benefit out of the illness or disease, you have to analytically, consciously understand the basis for it or the result that was going to happen. And I got from you when you spoke about that the analysis of it is totally irrelevant. We don't need that at all to get the benefit out of the illness. It will just naturally come.
Yes.
And come out the other side, we may never know what it is, but we'll still have grown to the full extent.
Yes.
Except, luckily, here we do have analysis, so if we additionally are able to analyze, then we get even another kick or bonus out of the illness.
All right, in a sense, yes.
Okay.
If you choose to create that type of reality, yes.
Yes, and I say that because we on this planet tend to create that kind of reality.
Oh, no, do not speak for the whole planet.
Okay. I do.
Thank you.
I create that kind of reality.
Thank you. Then by all means, enjoy.
Thank you, I do. Now, another thing that I want to share, I'm on these cards here, which is real interesting to me. I did, after realizing that I didn't have to analyze these things, I just kind of left. And this thing that I'm going through with my throat and my bronchial congestion and stuff like that, I decided I didn't need to analyze it, so I quit doing that. But I did come to a conscious analytical awareness of it at the point where I was coughing this stuff up, and it would catch in my windpipe, and I would almost choke. It was like I was drowning.
Yes.
And at that point I said, drowning. That's like symbolic of passage to a fluid state.
All right.
And a fluid state is symbolic of the Syrian civilization around about Syria. I made the connection, and it really blew me away, that this...
Where did you go?
right here. I'll do myself right here.
For you.
Yes,
we know.
Yeah. And it was just it just analytically brought home to me that this is very definitely part of my transformation.
Very good. Then you will allow more and more opportunity to see exactly how it is so, by simply knowing that there are no interruptions within the unfoldment of your path.
Absolutely. Yes, I totally get that. And one more thing to share at this time. Somebody some years ago defined humor in a book better than I ever heard it defined. People talk about, release of charge and stuff like that, but it never was exactly precise in terms of the definition of humor. A definition of humor that I read was a sudden disparity between concept and percept.
All right, yes.
Yes. And so I equated that in this way. A sudden disparity between concept and percept is a paradox.
Yes.
A paradox is the viewing of both poles.
Yes.
And when you view both poles, you put yourself right in the center of it.
Yes.
And then when you laugh, it's also centering. So basically, humor equates to laughing. I mean, just analytically, it comes right around to why laughter or why humor centers you.
Yes.
Anyway, that's my sharing.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yes, Bashar. I have several questions. The last one throughout the night.
If you wish.
Okay. The first question I have is the Perseid meteor shower that's going to be next Sunday night. Does that have any special significance? I know before you told me it only has significance to the point that I place meaning on the symbol that it is. However, scientifically or astronomically, can you give me a little information on what the Perseid meteor shower is, why it comes every year, and where it comes from, if you know any of that information?
It will to some degree represent certain ideas of what you call early planetary formation within your system in that sense, and will be of much, as you say, scientific value within the understanding of what you call orbital mechanics. You follow me? Yes. It will give clues to your scientists about the trajectories of various bodies within the system and the origin of the momentum gained within the creation of what you term to be the plane of the ecliptic in the orbitary stations of the various planets, comets, and other bodies within your solar system. Are you following me?
Yes, I am.
Understand in this way that this particular, as you say, meteor shower will then be a remnant of a particular interaction which took place approximately what you term to be 6 million of your years ago in that way, and will have stemmed somewhat from a shifting of the balance of energy with certain bodies in your system, and also the ejection of material from the area you call the asteroid belt. You follow me?
Yes, I do. Thank you. Thank you very much. I'll ask another question, which is the area of Mono Lake on this planet. Do you know of any special energy significance that's there, as in negative vortexes or things of that sort?
There is a magnetic, in a sense, anomaly. You follow me?
Yes.
It will be high degree of magnetic perturbation that will reflect to some degree certain shiftings both within the electromagnetic field of the atmosphere in that way, and also within the crystal earth. You follow me?
Yes.
It will simply be in that way one point on your planet where, if you allow yourself to be, or if you have created machines that can be as well sensitive, you can then detect fluctuations in the magnetic field of your planetary system. You follow me?
Yes, I do. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yes,
One moment. Yes.
Me again. Okay, the other question, I have several, but I'll ask one other, and that is, can you give me any insight, or from a different vantage point, obviously, of I'm studying human nature, which I've studied in psychology. It seems like we have an intense need, or have manifested an intense need for identification, the way we dress, the cars we drive, the houses we choose, the food we eat, everything is like to identify who we are. Do you, one, find that on your own planet to be true? Or
only in a sense. There always will be identification with certain ideas. The identification in that way many times that you are speaking of will result from the idea that you do not want to stand out. Follow me?
Mm-hmm.
Now, this will be reflective of the idea of not being willing to take responsibility for the uniqueness that is you. You follow me?
In other words, the identification tools are an indicator of not taking responsibility for the uniqueness?
This can be the negative version of identification. The idea of blending in so you do not stand out. Positive identification will be recognizing a flow of energy in a positive direction and allowing yourself to flow with it. You follow me?
Yes.
There will be the polarity of identification in that sense, in a mass conscious sense, as you would understand the idea in the negative sense of succumbing to what you term to be peer pressure, and in the positive sense, allowing yourself to flow with the momentum of an action. Both are forms of identification. You follow me?
Yes.
So that I've answered your question.
To a degree, I'll think on it and I'll ask more if I need to.
All right, thank you.
I'd just like to express I'm glad to be back in your energy.
No. Allow us to say we always enjoy the sharing of your consciousness. Thank you.
I have a question.
All right.
How old is Earth in your perception or Earth view?
As you have asked the terminology in that way, according to what you refer to as a time scale that you recognize to be, I'll say, accurate, allow me to say approximately in that sense, 4, and I'll say 2/3 billion. You follow me?
Yes. And are you aware of an event, a cataclysmic event that took place on Earth 75 million years ago?
Understand in this way that what you are referring to will be mostly allegorical. You follow me?
Mm-hmm.
In a sense, there will have been given to this series of ideas, series of events, one particular focused viewpoint, as there was at that time, the projection to a degree of certain of these ideas upon the surface of your planet, but recognize that it only came through as one event from your particular perspective. It is representative of many different kinds of interaction, situations, and events. You follow me?
Mm-hmm. Yes, I do.
Thank you. What else?
I have listened to a number of tapes of the sessions, although this is the first time I've been here with my body. And you did mention that Atlantis was an actual event, it was an actual civilization.
Yes.
And it came to an end approximately 12,000
Yes.
of our years ago.
Yes.
Was it entirely a colonization of people from some other place?
No. Understand that it will be understood to be what you term the colony of the previous, in that way, continent you call Lemuria. Follow me.
Mm-hmm.
There was interaction in Lemuria, was interaction within Atlantis, with what you term to be extraterrestrial civilization, yes. But the majority in that way were born of your planet. Follow me.
Yes.
Will this have answered your question?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Sure.
Yes.
Since I've been coming to see you, I've become aware of other channels and mediums from various places with, different ideas. And I was wondering, are we to assume that all of these entities or whatever I want to group them as have humanity's best interest? And how do we tell if there's any negative energy? Do you understand my question?
Yes. If I tell you something now, will you do what I say, listen to me, and no one else?
Yes.
Why? Thank you. Now, was that not simple to tell? The idea of negativity being presented in the, I'll say, removal of your own freedom of choice.
So it's simply going to be my choice whom I listen to.
Yes, of course.
It's not to say that there are not negative energies out there that do not have Earth's best interest.
There are those, but understand also, it will be according to whatever vibration you wish to associate with.
Okay.
Allow me to say at this time, the majority, approximately in that way, 85 to 90% of those ideas that you experience as channelings will, in that sense, be of positive nature, that your civilization is mostly aware of. You follow me?
Yes.
Those channelings which have become prominent, you follow me?
Yes.
Will, of 85 to 90% be mostly positive nature at this time, because that is the representation of the vibration that you have chosen your mass consciousness to be at this time. But it will be up to you to identify within yourself, and that is a part of the purpose, to allow yourself to gain the idea of recognizing that it is a clear and conscious choice between positive idea and negative idea. You may, if you wish, simply understand that the idea that you call positive will basically present always two things, in a sense. One, as we have in that way presented to you the idea of freedom of choice. Second, the idea that the power is completely and totally within you to determine your reality. You follow me?
Yes.
The idea, in a general sense, of the offering of negative reality that may come through, in a sense, a channeling or an identification, will usually take the form of expressing that there is only one way to do something, and usually that is the way being presented at that time. You follow me?
Only one way?
In other words, no other way is feasible to live your life except the way I tell you. You follow me? In other words, in that way, what you term to be preaching. You follow me?
Yes. So a negative energy couldn't force its way?
Nope.
Okay.
You have to agree. But understand in that way that the idea of being afraid that it can force its way is the creation of the agreement.
Right.
You follow me?
Yes.
Thank you.
Bashar,
Yes.
I am interested in sharing my experience with you and other entities and extraterrestrials, with my family in particular. And there are times when I feel it's very confronting for me to do that as well as for them. And I would like to know if you could give me more insight in that area, and especially what my relationship to my family has been in the past, which may give me more insight into what's happening in the present and what's available to me in the future.
In 25 words or less?
No, you can take as many words as you want.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
Now, allow me to say, first of all, that really, if I may be allowed to, by you, the entire idea can be communicated in less than 25 words.
Yes.
First of all, the present is where you exist. You create the past and the future from now. You follow me?
Yes.
All right.
Okay.
Then you may understand that any idea from the past that you consider to be influential over your present life is simply your choice to view your present self as being influenced by a past you are creating in the present. You follow me?
Yes, I do.
All right. There is validity to this tool for many different reasons. Understand that you may share anything you wish, at any time you wish. But you do not need to force anything, nor assume that others must believe the same as you, no matter whether you are of the same psychic family or not. Each is their own path. You follow me?
Yeah.
If there were only one path, there would only be one person. Now, allow yourself to simply be the reality you want to be. You know yourself to be. Then you will be offering that choice, that sharing, that vibration to any other individual who chooses freely to share that vibration with you. If they do not choose to, the vibration of your reality that you choose to be for yourself need not see them as somehow being bereft.
Bereft?
Without
Yeah.
something positive. You follow me?
Yeah.
In that way, you are then positively reinforcing that they have made a valid choice for themselves. And by reinforcing that they have made a valid choice at this time for themselves, then automatically it does not need to affect you negatively. Nor does it need in that way to continue for them negatively, because you will be offering them the idea that you are viewing them as equal. And you are supporting the idea of all that is, in viewing that all that is a compilation of many infinite, equal, and diverse paths. In supporting all that is, you automatically support and reinforce yourself, because you are all that is as well. You follow me?
Yeah.
Will this have clarified some of this idea for you?
Yeah.
How do you feel?
Good. And whatever happens is fine.
Thank you. Enjoy the relationships you have formed, as those relationships throughout many different lifetimes reflect all the different portions of yourself you have projected into reality, and you take turns sharing different reflections of each other, providing mirrors and guide for each other in that way. You have been and are a family many times in many different ways. You follow me?
I am and have been what?
A family.
Oh.
Many different times in many different ways. You follow me?
Yeah. I'm really interested in knowing more about that.
Understand that what is necessary for the unfoldment of your present self, when you bring yourself completely into the present, will be able to be open to you, and you will sense what you need to know. That which you do not immediately sense, you do not need to know, because you have not yet acted upon what you have already sensed. You follow me?
Yeah.
You get a feed according to a rate that you require. May I simply ask you, because I know there are identifications within you in that sense, as to what particular idea you call a time frame excites you the most.
The present does.
All right, very good.
And I'm just looking at all the different ways that I'm relating to them in the present. So I thank you very much for that.
Thank you. Question.
My question sort of connects into her question. And I don't know what to ask, except...
Then you may make a statement.
I feel like I'm going through a lot of different perspectives on judgment, and allowing a couple of friends of mine to sort of take on the culmination of all of my feelings concerning the idea that you discussed with her in terms of religion and free will, and not in accepting everyone's beliefs, and feeling like if you don't believe that other person's way, that you're not lacking in some way. And I feel like I'm fighting with them, and I know I'm fighting with myself.
But not really, because you are utilizing the reflections that you both agree to utilize for each other. You are allowing yourself to explore all those different realms of judgment. That was the purpose for the agreement. Therefore, you're not fighting the agreement, you are going along with it.
Then why am I so angry?
Because in that way, you are judging the judgment. You follow me?
Yeah, I kind of got that today, that I was back in my circle of
judging the judgment, the
Right.
energy that I was judging.
Within separation and within judging, you will create cycles of repetition. When you allow yourself to continue to simply recognize all the different purposes, you will wean yourself of that cycle. You will not feel a need to be angry, except as the, I'll say, clear, positive anger that only lasts a few seconds of your time, that simply gives you clear insight as to the path you have chosen. Recognize that positive anger is simply a clearing. You follow me?
Yes, I understand that.
Then understand that you are simply clearing. But when you judge that you have created anger again, then you do not let it be natural, clear anger. You follow me?
Yes.
Then have your anger, but have the real anger, not the artificial anger. You follow me?
I keep thinking about the life that I discussed, and it's feeling like that, for some reason, that has a lot to do with it.
Well, yes, it is connected in a way, but understand again, you are reinforcing that idea from your present because that is what you are exploring right now.
So that's why I feel so connected.
Yes.
When you are in between lives, do you take all the judgments and all the emotions with you? Do you know what I mean?
You recognize that you made judgments. You do not take them with you, per se.
Okay, but in that particular state, do you then make judgments from that position?
Not judgment, observations.
So they're not judgments?
No.
Okay, so you really only do that within physical life?
Yes. Because it implies separation. You follow me?
Yes.
There is no separation in non-physical life, except as you create it, but you know you are creating it, so it is not in that way, quote-unquote, a real separation. You follow me?
Yeah. So it would not have, I had the feeling that after I'd had that life, that in between states, I looked back at it and thought, you asshole for doing that. But I'm only doing it from this position then.
You created in the present that past life to afford you the opportunity to have something to draw on when you decided in this physical present life to determine the idea of the exploration of judgment. You follow me?
Yeah.
So you would have something to connect to.
Why do you have to have something to connect to? Why do you?
Because you are in physical reality and you create a time track. This is what will make sense to the physicalized ego.
But if I'm in this life creating opportunities to work through the idea of judgment or experience the idea of judgment, why do I need to create other lives in order to connect to? Why is not this life enough?
You do not have to, but you have.
Okay.
You follow me?
Yeah.
It is simply your way.
Okay.
Now, allow me to say that, quite obviously, in one sense, you're actually enjoying that life very much. It has a sense of power within judgment to you. It represents the idea that you're exploring in this way in such a manner that you were fascinated with the power that could be within the fear and judgment and created that life so as to experience it firsthand. You follow me?
Yeah, I can relate to that.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Question?
Yeah.
All right, you. Then you.
Could you elaborate on what was done to me on Sunday, how they did it, and who did it? Very easy.
Hold on.
Do you have, of course you do, your own feeling?
Yes.
At this time, do you require the idea within that feeling of verification? Or do you know that your momentum is still carrying forward?
Carrying forward. But a little confirmation is always nice.
Oh, really?
Sure.
Why? Many times a little confirmation, as you say, does not confirm, but in a sense slows the process down.
Mm-hmm.
You follow me?
Yeah.
Do you wish the process to slow down?
No.
Do you understand the presence of the sister in that way?
Yes. Sure.
Will that be enough?
Plenty. Thank you.
Only one more thing. It was done as a symbol physically with the aid of what you term to be a resonating chamber. You follow me?
Yeah. How far was that chamber from me actually, physical terms?
In another dimension entirely. But right round and about you. You follow me?
Sure, yeah.
And in that way, it was the setup of certain resonating cavities within your physical form at the same time. It was the idea being expressed that your body is a resonating cavity. You follow me?
Mm-hmm.
It was also the idea given to you as a tool, if you wish it, that you can recognize yourself as that resonating cavity and begin to realize your tunability. You follow me?
Yeah, so it's conceivable that I could do that on my own.
Understand that when the time comes for the interaction, it will be required for the idea of tuning yourself to the frequency necessary for the perception of the interaction.
Mm-hmm.
You follow me?
Yeah. Very much so.
Thank you. Yes?
I seem to be...
I seem to be...
Going through...
Would you like to do it again? Go ahead. I seem to be... Oh, one more time.
I seem to be... take a deep breath again.
Go right ahead.
That does help. Okay. I'm going through...
You sound a little bit more alive.
I feel a bit more alive. Thank you. Maybe that's what my problem is.
Problem?
It is my problem. Well, okay, the situation... I'm creating my own problem. I realize that.
One more time. All right, continue.
I was having so much fun, doing all the walking and exploring and having all those ecstatic explosions, as you say, and it was fantastic. And all of a sudden, yes, because I'm not doing anymore. I feel like...
You're not? Are you sure?
Well, if I am, I'm not aware of it, because I feel tired all the time. I feel I should go out and start doing all these things again, but I keep putting off into the future. I'm not doing it right now. I feel like I'm walking again.
All right.
Heaviness.
What would you like to do?
What would I like to do? That's it. I think, well, I would like to pick up my basket. No, I don't want to do that. I would like to... And I don't
what would you like to do right now?
Right now?
Right now. Go ahead, be crazy. What would you like to do?
Why?
All right, go ahead.
Well, I have done, but okay, do it. And then do it. And
are you doing it?
to some degree, much more than I was. Yes, I expand my space all over the fly, you say, as I say.
But
okay, a lot of it is like I should be signing my papers to take on my retirement. So
why? What are you retiring from? What are you retiring to?
I'm retiring to much more exciting things.
All right. Does that require the signing of papers?
Yes, I'm leaving one job to go to something else.
All right.
To much more exciting things, but I think...
What is stopping you from signing the papers?
Transformation. Why don't I?
You tell me.
I don't.
Are you afraid that the idea of being able to create anything you wish will be less stable?
I have thought of that possibility, and all I feel is, no, it's the greatest thing that could happen to me, to go ahead and do it.
Do you understand it will always keep happening? There is no need to fear that it will ever stop.
Right.
Unless you choose to create that it has stopped, as you have done now, as a symbol to yourself, to show yourself that you can stop at any time you wish.
Yeah, that's true. I feel that the creativity on the job has more or less, well, as we say, I'm overrun on this job. I just don't want the job anymore.
All right.
So get out of it.
Thank you.
And so
it is one more job. It is another idea. You did not always have this job, did you?
no.
and I've never starved to death this lifetime either.
Thank you.
So that's what I know, and I know that it's going to lead to much, much greater things. I feel kind of like this here, my being unwilling to go on, has stopped me from doing a lot of creating that would...
But it is only to show yourself that you are fully in control of when you start and when you stop. That is the only purpose for feeling stopped right now. Allow the symbol to serve its purpose and you will begin to move again.
And also I just had a cognition that perhaps this is what caused me to feel so tired, is because I don't go ahead and go through. I had made the concept that I was going to go ahead, and then I have been putting that in.
Holding back all the momentum you have begun to create for yourself will be tiring, yes. You follow me?
You do, yes.
Then by all means continue to enjoy yourself, if you choose to. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sure.
Yes.
But I think it was Monday night. I woke up in the night and I was terrified. I don't know what of what. Maybe it was just fear itself. Maybe the experiencing out of fear. I think I may have had some kind of dream or something that triggered it, and I don't know what it was. But I lay in bed for a while and didn't go back to sleep for a little while, just in terror. And
yes.
I just hung out with it. It was like...
Yes, thank you. You were connecting into counterpart energy. You were connecting into the energy as expressed by the idea of being challenged to be who you are. You follow me?
In a sense.
You were experiencing along similar lines in that way of a triad of which you are a part. Mm-hmm. The idea of allowing yourself the opportunity to truly, in your vernacular, stand up for what you believe.
Oh.
You follow me?
I mean, within this triad, there were other beliefs.
You were experiencing at the same time as other individuals within the triad the idea of allowing yourself to now know that you are now consciously going to be making the choices, and that once you make them, you, in that way, know now that you have the integrity to stand by them. Mm-hmm. Follow me?
Yeah, because I had this feeling that there was some, symbolically, not a struggle, because I knew all along that I would, whatever I believed in would stand, but felt like there was some kind of like you said, like a challenge.
Yes.
Like and I was like really being strong in what I felt.
Yes.
Well, what triad is this? Who is that on the earth plane? Triad?
Yes.
Who is that?
The physical channel and your sister.
Oh, okay.
You follow me?
Well, were they having
yes.
similar? Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Oh.
I'll tell you guys.
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Question?
Yes. I'd like to explore this this concept of positive and negative. And the question that I ask is that since your civilization and now our civilization is in the process of choosing the positive side, there is an appearancy that, this sounds ridiculous, but an appearance that the positive side is better than the negative side because everybody's choosing it, quote unquote. And I'm wondering, do you perceive something of that nature, or is it truly, well, this just happens to be your choice? And
it is simply the idea that you are recognizing that within the positive choice there is integration and the opportunity to view more of yourself. Thus the feeling of expansion, which leads to the judgment you call better.
I see. So within that context, it is better, but in the overall sense, it's just another choice which involves expansion.
Yes.
I see. Thank you.
Thank you.
I got another question.
All right.
Now that I have you on the line. Let's see here. What was it? Oh, yes. A concept that I had acquired, and I think other people had acquired it, maybe from Scientology, was that if you look at a picture of something horrible that could happen to you, for instance, plane crash or something, you get this idea, oh my God, I might crash on this plane, or I might be hit by a car. And if you see, as you deal with it, you may create it in reality. I wish you would comment on that. I think I've come to the conclusion that you can play with it in your imagination just as much as you want to, and it will not.
Yes.
Yeah.
No. That whatever you choose is exactly what you have chosen for the purpose of this physical life. Therefore, always perfect.
Okay.
No matter what it is.
So, whether I entertain thoughts of crashing in a fiery plane accident or not, will not affect the decision that I have sort of already made.
Not really. If it does not stem from the creation of a true belief. You follow me?
Yeah, and actually that true belief comes from fear.
Yes.
If you integrate fear with that picture, then you are kind of edging on the belief that it's going to happen, and it might.
In a sense, but understand in that way, again, it will always be within the flow of what you have chosen to experience in this physical life. And in that way, recognize simply that many times, I'll say, as a signpost, the more different things you choose to feel, that fear about, the less likely any one of them will manifest. And simply all you are showing yourself is that you are fascinated with the fear itself.
Okay. Well, I don't have that kind of situation. I just have, every once in a while I'll read about something, and I'll look at the picture, and I'll get the fear, but at this time I'm integrating that in such a way that I can look at the fear and go, oh, there's fear there. That's right, I don't need to have fear on this. And go ahead and entertain thoughts of the crash or whatever, without having fear part of it. So it sounds like, for me, just knowingly not putting fear into it, I can be sure.
As long as you feel that you are only entertaining these thoughts, then you will only be entertained by them.
Yeah, I think it was a judgment that I got made from being in Scientology that if I looked at these things too heavily, I would be creating them in the physical universe. But I could certainly, I mean, if I know that I'm looking at it from an imagination standpoint, then...
yes, then you are conscious of your decisions.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
On your planet, or in your civilization, do people on your planet in general are very conversant with the idea that they are not their physical forms, but separate from them?
Understand in that way that we view ourselves more as the integration of the idea of physicality and non-physicality, not so much the separation. That we do project ourselves within the idea of separation that you call physicality, but that we recognize that physicality is only another viewpoint of consciousness. Therefore, at the same time, there is no separation. You follow me?
I understand what you said. However, take this channeling moment as an example.
Oh, right.
Clearly, you and Bashar are clearly distinguishable and separate from the physical channel.
All right.
The physical channel is normally operated by another consciousness.
Yes.
Okay. So...
yes, we have chosen to make that distinction as we have chosen to project ourselves as well as the physical channel into physical materiality and have our own viewpoint of our own lives as well as he has his.
Okay. To you, on your planet, your civilization, why do you leave off one body and wind up taking another one?
I have taken nothing. Understand that what is occurring is by agreement, and what you are experiencing is mostly the idea of what you call telepathic.
No, I'm not talking about the channeling. In your civilization, on an early stage, you mentioned that on your planet, your bodies tend to live about 300 years, as opposed to ours only 70, and the reason for that is you suggested, in my view correctly, that if we had a larger purpose, our bodies would keep running. My question to you is, why would not your bodies continue forever? Why the cycle of having new bodies?
There is no purpose in maintaining any longer than that, for the purpose we are unfolding in our civilization.
And when you take on a new body, are the children in your civilization fully aware of all their previous existences?
In a sense, yes.
More than people in this civilization.
Yes.
On Earth. Very interesting. It is my perception that there is a distinct intention on the part of a group of consciousnesses to bring about on Earth an evolution toward a higher level of consciousness, which will manifest itself in what I would term a higher order of civilization.
In a sense, there is a distinct, as you say, intention to vibrate on a certain level of reality. there is within that intention of vibrating on that level of reality, the intention of forming connections with any other consciousness that also chooses to vibrate on that level. You follow me?
Yes.
Therefore, it is not the idea that we intend this for you, but that you intend it for yourselves, and thus we are allowed to share with you. Follow me?
Okay. Yes, I do follow you. I was wondering if you were... It seems to me, by viewing the history of this planet for the last, just take the last 2,000 years, that there are certain moments in history in which it seems clear that the intention has manifested itself most strongly. The period around Christ, the period in Greece, the period what we call the Renaissance.
It will be the acting out within certain timing frameworks of the cycle within the 25,000 year cycle, wherein which you decided as a civilization to explore the idea of negativity. Then within that cycle, there will have been the idea, yes, of the periodic assessment and the comparison of that negativity to the idea of the positivity that you know yourselves in that sense to be now choosing.
How far into that cycle are we? 25,000.
You are at the end.
Is it in 2000? The year 2000?
Approximately 2011 to 13. You follow me?
Yes.
At which time we will be in a cycle that we have chosen to explore the positive.
Yes, you will be emerging from third to fourth density.
I see.
Realize in that way that much of what you are experiencing upon your planet at this time as being so rapacious will simply be so that you can purge yourself of this negativity post-haste. So that you will, in that way, in creating the positive cycle, not carry with you the belief into that new cycle that you will ever slip back. You follow me?
Yes.
Yeah.
You will have experienced it all. You will have then integrated it. And know that you contain negativity without needing any more to experience negative effect.
But there is clearly an evolution. There is a process going on Earth.
Oh yes, it is called life.
And
we understand the idea you call evolution, but that is from a time-track viewpoint.
I misused the word evolution. What I mean is that I didn't mean evolution. I meant that there seems to be progress in the direction of more and more people being more and more aware and operating with each other in a more what I would call civilized fashion.
Yes.
Okay, my question, one of many, is that body of knowledge and organization called Scientology a manifestation of that process?
Every idea, in a sense, is a manifestation of that process. Whether it contains positive, negative as its expression does not matter in that way. It is all part and parcel of the culmination point of the transformation.
Right, but the other half of the question was, is that body of knowledge and so forth that we refer to as Scientology instrumental in forwarding the motion that I just described earlier toward a higher level of understanding? Or is it merely a manifestation?
Like anything else, a tool. It will be utilized by the individuals within it according to their own understanding of themselves. Some will utilize it negatively, some will utilize it positively. It will be up to them. The idea in and of itself contains both possibilities and is not recommended one way or another. You follow me?
I do follow you.
Anything is a tool and is as valid as the individuals who have created it are willing to make it for whatever purpose they see themselves being.
Good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bashar, what exactly do you intend for your purpose to be when your people will be visiting our planet in 9 years? What is the intention of the physical manifestation of that visitation?
To share.
And how many people do you intend to participate in receiving your people, and how many people will be participating from your planet?
That is not determined at this point.
What is your particular intention in that area?
To share.
But I mean, as far as how many people would you like to involve? Does it matter to you?
That is not determined at this point.
Does that make a difference to you?
No. It is up to you.
And you too?
Yes. Therefore, when we are that future timing, it will be automatic. And those that will be there within the timing will be there. No matter how many, no matter who. It does not matter for us in that way to count. Everyone that needs to be there will be there.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
There'll be 2,395.
Sure.
You don't know that.
One moment. Yes.
Oh, thank you very much. It was nice being here with you again this evening. I have something that I want to tell you, and I also have a question to ask you.
Which is first?
Sharon.
All right, thank you.
I've experienced a wonderful thing. The intensity of love that has been given to me by other beings that I have been in touch with within the last 2 weeks. It's just,
You like that, do you?
Oh.
May I remind you of something?
Yes.
Recognize that if you do not contain that intensity of love for yourself to begin with, you would not perceive it from anyone else.
Yes, I know.
Thank you. Then thank you for your own unconditional love as well,
Thank you very much.
by which we can then share the vibration.
Well, that's what I think is occurring because I've been with them, and it's like the ship is like a bluish white light, and the beings are of the same, and they bathe me in this fantastic light. It's like they're preparing me for something. And I'm not quite sure, and I'll find out, but the love that it is done with, it carries with me, and they also have, I've had some psychic healing done, which removed a lot of blockage, and so that the energy that I'm getting is like really, I can handle the intensity of it much better. And I just want I don't know who they are at the moment. I'm not sure, and I'm not concerned about that. I just know that love.
Thank you for allowing yourself conscious awareness of the unfoldment of your path in that vibration.
Now the question I have is this. I've been experiencing a lot of physical things going on. Cold, I've been running a fever.
Yes, the fever, yes.
The fever is there.
Yes.
And
this will be representative of the increase in the acceleration of the energy at this time. For many individuals will be experiencing this as you have made a transition to another level of energy at this time.
Mm-hmm. I feel it in my hands, and especially throughout my body now. It's just
yes.
The vibration has...
The primary focus in your hands will be symbolic of the idea of your ability to manifest physically these ideas, in a sense. In other words, your capability at realizing them physically. You follow me?
Yes. Is that vibration, can I be using that for healing other people?
Of course. Your own imagination told you so.
Yes.
Follow it.
I also know that they have been there in touch with my friend who did the psychic healing, and they touched him and helped him, and they will be with him a lot.
You are all forming the agreement together.
Right. Anyway, I just wanted to share that with you.
Thank you very much.
May I ask just one more question?
That was a question right there.
Maybe two. When you're passing from the third to the fourth density, now, is that a long process?
It's up to you.
Now,
allow me to say that with regard to the idea agreement that most of you have made with the mass-conscious idea of each other, you are talking about a process which has already begun and in a sense will stretch for the next approximately 30 years of your time.
Now, what will occur when you reach the fourth and the fifth density?
Fourth, in this way, will still contain some idea you call physicality. You will, however, feel more light. You will perceive more light. Your reality will physically glow. You will feel more accelerated, more clear about consciously knowing what is manifesting in your reality and why. You will begin to feel the integration of the connection of the consciousness with every other being in your reality. You will begin to recognize yourself as an individual and as a conglomerate, as an association at the same time. You follow me?
Yeah.
You will emotionally function in this way.
Sure.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Bashar?
I actually had a follow-up question on the speaker previous to her, in regards to the number of people that will come from your planet. I did understand your answer. I'm wondering if you have a personal opinion about your own participation, whether you physically will come. Do you have an opinion on that, or a preference, or is it totally non-determinate at this point for you personally?
Allow me to say, if you wish at this time, 67%, I will be involved directly. You follow me?
You have 67% probability?
Yes.
Got it. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes.
Kind of have a question statement. I have a question statement.
All right.
I've had a very interesting weekend starting on Saturday.
Interesting.
Very interesting.
All right. Very good.
Starting on Saturday, it actually started last week when I started getting little fevers, but on Saturday my wallet got stolen, which was, the way that I handled it was kind of like, oh well, my wallet got stolen, and I think that probably if it had been some time back I would have gone crazy with the whole situation, and I felt like over the whole weekend people have been real negative and angry at me, and I kind of just said, oh well, just kind of let that go. Then Monday I got real sick. And I never get sick in terms of throwing up and like food poisoning type of thing and fever. I never get sick like that. And it's kind of like I went again. I think I'll have some fun with this sickness. So then last night I was at my studio. The thing that I learned about all this stuff is that I've created a lot of born again Christians in my reality. And I allowed them last night to, I really allowed them to lay hands on me and get my energy. It really picked my energy up. I allowed that feeling to just, okay, here, go ahead and go, and it felt real nice.
Okay.
So I guess one of my questions is about that. I feel like there's a lot of similarities to what you were telling Pam about kind of making a decision to be grounded in positiveness.
All right.
Throughout all this stuff. And the other question I have is about the born again Christians and that philosophy and those people. Why I'm creating so much of that around me. I almost everyone I bump into seems to be born again Christian.
It will have to do at this time. This is, I'll say, what we are allowed to say right now for you, it will have to do with some of the ideas you will be expressing as a server. With regard to the idea of coming to terms with the idea upon your planet you call religion, and the transformations thereof. You follow me? Recognize that one of the idea duties of Earth servers, as they have chosen for themselves to be, will be the idea of allowing the transition of what you call religion into self-responsibility, will be to aid in the ease of this transformation for those individuals in that way, and to allow them to acclimate to the ideas of taking responsibility for their creations for themselves. You follow me?
Yeah. So in that respect, Erica, you're supporting me in that too. Thank you.
Praise the Lord.
I know, I wanted to say, thank God.
Well, so, when you were talking before about kind of evil or positive, negative, or then negative, you said 80% or 90% of channeling. So I guess the question that popped up in my mind was, and it literally popped up in my mind, is that born again Christianity in a way negative because it's very much dogma and preaching?
It will be expressing again certain negative, I would say, ideas in the sense that it may from time to time express what you call, as you say, dogma, in the sense that there is only one way to find one's own truth. You follow me? Thank you. Yes?
I could say you need a break, but I suppose it's just us needing a break and not you.
All right, you may take a short break.
Oh, can I ask a question?
All right.
I've been talking to the physical channel about working with him and inviting him to a radio show in the Los Angeles area called Threshold. What are your feelings on that?
Well, I'm going to say again that the idea in this way is always within timing. It is also within the idea of allowing action within yourself to take place from your own responsibility to the vibration that you know yourself to be. Allow me to say that within our feeling there will be the opportunity at this time, as long as you are always operating within the vibration of yourself and recognize there is no need to force the timing of anything.
At this time, would it be possible for the physical channel to also use your consciousness on the radio show, or would it basically need to be more of a situation where the physical channel would just give information through his own brain, through his own essence, instead of...
The channeling may take place.
Yes, Bashar, I have a friend whose little boy is having a problem learning to read, and there's a possibility that it may be dyslexia, which, per our definition here on Earth, is like a brain disorder in that a person is perceiving backwards. Can you give me more insight into that and possibly help?
Now, this is going to sound at first somewhat in your terminology facetious, but it is not meant to be. All right?
Sure.
In a sense, there is nothing interesting for that individual to read. Do you follow me?
Yes, I totally understand.
Realize that this quote-unquote skill may develop later as by the conscious choice of that individual after there is the establishment of the sensing abilities that are more quote-unquote importantly required for later life. Once they are established, then the ideas that can be gleaned through literature may then be allowed into the system once there is already the establishment of what you deem to be the balance of the truth sense within the individual, so as to then allow the passage of literature information within them to then fall into the, I'll say, niches that will be required for their understanding of the assimilation of information as they will be utilizing it in terms of their communicative skills later on in life. You follow me?
Yes. Let me make a statement to verify my understanding of that. Is he learning or assimilating certain skills right now that reading would interfere with?
Yes, in a sense.
So we should just wait and allow and...
You do not have to wait. You may enrich his surroundings with, I'll say, sound, light, color, verbal, visual input, but also what you term to be invisible knowledge. You follow me? You may vibrate at the resonant frequency whereas you know it has come to serve a specific purpose that will have to do with the idea of communication. It will seem quite paradoxical, as it does many times when you relate stories of individuals later on in life. Why, this individual was very late in learning how to read, yet look what a great communicator this individual is. You follow me?
Yes.
This will have the reading nothing to do with the level of communication that will be achieved later. More, it is the establishing at this time of the ability of that communicative skill that will then later allow this individual to choose to read. And thus, at that time, once having established the way information is sifted through the mentality of this individual, then the opportunity to sift the same information from literature through the same individual in the way that will then reflect how this individual needs to communicate it to other individuals later. Follow me?
Yes. Do you recommend sending him back to school? Because he's creating a great deal of frustration for him to be forced, to participate in a group that is supposed to be learning certain things, and he's getting pressure about.
All right. Allow me to suggest you have an idea you call field trip. You follow me?
Yes.
More of that idea. We also recognize that within what you term to be the laws of your society, there may be the idea of enforcement of what you term to be education up to a certain point. But then simply you may offset it in a way by then allowing or taking the individual to what you term to be establishments or institutions that you would normally consider beyond the quote-unquote educational level of this individual. These will serve to provide a stimulus in certain ways to allow there to be the recognition of a quote-unquote so-called end result of all this education. In other words, witnessing the application of the education, not so much the idea of the rote facts and figures. You follow me?
Yes.
But the application. This will be similar in this way to what you may term to be our quote-unquote educational system. It is more rather than the rote memorization. It is the living and the application and the doing. Not separate from the information that describes the act. You follow me?
Yes.
Then allow there to be the experiential activity. If there must also be the rote learning, then so be it in your society. But then you may in that way offset it, balance it out by the inclusion of twice as many hours of simply experience, of application, of exploration. You follow me? Sensing, physically, environment, places, people. You follow me?
It would be good, in other words, it would be good to listen to him if he is actually heralding a new education system that would be better for the whole country.
In a sense, yes. Not better, simply reflective of that idea. Thank you.
Thank you.
Question.
I have a partner that I write songs with, and I really think we make a good team musically. I really feel like we have something to offer to our planet. And also, he seems to have different ideas about the way life is, or the way he seems to get very depressed, and he loves to hear me talk about what I feel life is all about, yet he doesn't, he says, well, that's a nice belief, which is true, it's all belief. Like on Monday night, we were doing a mix in the recording studio of one of our songs. I had a very positive experience of the whole situation. At the end of the night, it turned out that he seemed to have a very negative experience of the night. And
all right. This may be reflective then, at this time, with this partner of the type of material that will, in that sense, most easily reach your audience, quote-unquote. In other words, take what is happening and make that into the songs. Take the polarity, take the paradox, and exemplify that. Then you will be happy in your positiveness. That individual will be happy in their negativeness, and they will be able to express the negativeness in the song, knowing that they are being granted validity in expressing it in the song, because you will be offsetting it with the idea of the polarity. And you will then be exemplifying the idea of song and communication about polarity, about paradox.
That's interesting, because I really do like, but there seems to be like a magic between parts.
Allow there to be free creative reign from the, I'll say, perspective that is being enjoyed by that individual at this time. You will find it will hit home, as you say, with many other individuals. You will find an audience.
That's interesting. Now, my concern is I want to continue working with a particular person, at least for now, who engineered our last song. And Greg, on the phone the other night, he said, I'm so angry with him because it took so long to do the mix of one song we did Monday night. He said that
why don't you inform this individual of this new idea? Allow them to become excited about the idea that the only reason it took so much time is because you are not willing to allow the energies to flow into the song in the way they were being expressed. And now, because you know that the validity will be there for each individual, positive or negative, in that way you can allow the song to flow freely, and in a way there will be no time taken.
I was thinking that. Yeah.
What a coincidence.
I was feeling that, that this particular song was taking a long time for that reason, and that for the kind of the uncertainty of feeling things out and really being clear on the idea of how we want to present our music so that the other songs will flow a lot faster.
But recognize that you are being given a very clear idea of how that music should be represented at this time. You simply don't believe it. Allow yourself to be bold within what is being given to you by yourselves. That will be the music.
Yeah.
Then it will flow very quickly.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, yeah, thank you.
Question.
Great.
In an earlier session, you spoke of the fact that in some hundreds of civilizations that you're aware of, the only one that had the phenomena of religion was Earth. And it struck me that there's a specific reason. It seems to me that phenomena is a manifestation of some other unique characteristic of the mass consciousness of Earth.
Yes.
Which, in my way of expressing it, is an insistent denial to accept responsibility for self.
Yes.
Which distinguishes Earth from most other places, most other known places.
Yes.
And is that the thing that is evolving? In other words, it seems to me for the mass consciousness to evolve to a higher level of awareness and consciousness, in other words, to move in the direction that your civilization is, it will require that the mass consciousness, as it manifests in each individual, people will have to start taking responsibility.
Oh, yes.
And is that occurring?
Yes.
Are we moving in that direction?
Yes.
Good. Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
I'd like to comment on that.
Oh, what?
I realized that, I had not understood the whole concept of faith in God from an experiential standpoint myself. I mean, I understood it, but it just didn't make any sense whatsoever to me because it was just, too airy-fairy or whatever. This is judgmental, of course. And
of course.
There was no knowledge you could base faith in God on. It just didn't work for me at all. And over this last week, I've been listening to tape after tape of your past sessions, and that plus the other sessions that I've attended. I realized that what faith in God is basically what you have been reflecting back to us. Just allow your own life to unfold and realize that it will unfold perfectly. Just basically have faith that it will unfold perfectly. Well, this is faith in God.
Yes.
And the only mistake that religion people have made is that they have separated God from themselves.
Yes. But understand it is not a mistake in that it was created to serve a purpose in allowing you to view this idea as you have now discovered it within yourself from this particular methodology. But yes, that is what was being expressed in religion, the separation of all that is from yourself. Yes.
Yes. So, was that for the purpose of understanding separation, or for the purpose of understanding
both? For the purpose of understanding separation, for the purpose of understanding integration through the idea of experiencing separation. Follow me. To make a choice. To give yourself the conscious awareness and freedom in having created both separation and integration to make a choice.
And that comes to the point where you begin to realize that integration isn't a choice.
Yes.
Because I know plenty of people who don't realize that there's any choice at all. They are just absolutely certain that God is separate from them, and they are inferior and all that other stuff.
Oh, yes.
And they have not come to the point where they have seen that there is another choice.
All right. That is their reality.
Yeah. Well, that's fine. Yeah, I'm not judging that. I'm just saying that in terms of integrating, using this experience, this viewpoint, for the purpose of integration, they have the next step to take, which would be, or which will unfold for them, of seeing that they are in fact not separate from God, and integrating that, and then understanding the two poles.
Yes. If that is the direction they choose to go in, yes, that will be the next step.
Would that direction not be part of the transformation?
Yes.
Okay.
At this time, as your energy in the mass consciousness indicates, this is the majority direction at this time.
Right.
Thank you.
Bashar, is part of your purpose in channeling to accelerate that process?
It is simply to reflect the timing as it is perfectly unfolding. The idea you experience of acceleration is simply becoming aware of the timing perfectly unfolding.
Okay.
Thank you.
Bashar?
Yes.
A couple questions. First, I say dream because that's the first thing I do, and it was Friday night, during which I couldn't really stay awake. I had to fall asleep. I thought I was going to another level of consciousness. And there was a symbol there of a car and two people driving the car, and I couldn't stay awake through the area. It was a really dark gray area with a lot of wind. It seemed like current. And I didn't feel like I could maneuver through that area, so I asked one of the people to help me. Was that a guide? Were those two people symbols of my guide?
Oh, very good. Symbols of the guide, yes.
For my own consciousness.
Not the guides themselves.
No, the symbols that I had conjured up.
Very good.
And then after that, I had an experience where I felt that your consciousness was very much within mine. You were identifying Bashar, and I thought, oh, wow, this feels like a home consciousness. This feels like a safe. It feels good. I'm glad. Thank you. I'm welcome. Welcome back, sort of feeling. And right after that, I had experienced, and it was interesting because it was a symbol of a cantankerous kind of person going, oh yes, it wasn't even none of it was verbal. It was all telepathic. But it seemed very negative all of a sudden, and I got very frightened, and I started screaming, in the name of God, leave me alone. And this, whatever this thing was, started laughing at me, and I said, in the name of Jesus, leave me alone. And I was screaming, because I always heard if you said that, and you would protect yourself. And I woke up really frightened, and then there was another symbol of someone at the door saying, don't leave the connection is made. You've waited thousands of years for this connection. So I thought, well, I should be staying at home tonight. And I stayed at home. And later I started thinking that I got worried. I thought, well, there it was. I had opened my receptacle for the positive, what I consider the positive vibration. And then right beside it was what I thought to be negative.
Yes.
And I got really nervous about that. And I saw the fear that I had manifested. So I started thinking, and I guess I would just like a little information if your consciousness was there with me.
In a sense.
Was the negative was simply a way for me to see that by saying in the name of God, I was saying it out of fear instead of saying I'm not accepting this sort of.
Yes.
It was like I was going as if there was something greater than me that would protect me instead of just saying leave me be.
Yes.
Sort of.
Instead of saying no, thank you.
No, thank you. So I have that choice, even though it feels like you're being grabbed.
Yes.
Sometimes in the action.
Just simply because you have the expectation that in opening yourself up for positivity, somehow negativity could not also be there. Recognize that positive and negative energy is always together. Therefore, if you simply allow yourself to know that when you in that way allow yourself to open up, both will always be there, then you will be making a choice. Thus, in assuming you will not have to face it, you gave yourself the opportunity to recognize that you forced yourself to do so, and recognize that you, then in realizing that the power was within you, then simply told yourself all along, if you had expected, in a sense, the idea to be there to begin with, you would not have been surprised. You follow me?
Mm-hmm. Divine. Can you shed some light on what the symbol was when I was in the vehicles with the two guys, the black area that I didn't feel I could maneuver through? Or would that simply be astral?
It was in some senses astral, but it was more the idea of the extension of this negative field that you needed to explore. Thus, it seemed in that way thick. You follow me?
Mm-hmm. My next question is, when am I going to have to quit exploring negative fields? Because they're getting tiring.
Do you mean when will you allow yourself to know you can enjoy exploring positive and negative? You follow me? You see, you are still saying, when will the idea of negative energy not be within my reality? Negative energy will always exist. When you give yourself the opportunity to realize that you will allow it to exist always and can look at it any time from an observational standpoint that you wish, then you will understand you can make a choice and the negative effect of containing negative energy need not manifest. You follow me?
Yes, I do.
What is tiring you is simply the assumption that you can somehow get rid of negative energy. You are all that is, you are everywhere, you are it. There is nowhere for you to get rid of anything to.
Mm-hmm.
Therefore, when you push against it, when you resist, you are strengthening and reinforcing the negative effect. You follow me?
Yes, I do.
Therefore, simply allow yourself to know that you will always, at the point of centering, be aware consciously of both your positive and negative energy. Then, because you know you are centered and balanced, you can simply get on about making your choice. And then experience the positive effect from that choice. You follow me?
I do.
Thank you very much.
Sure. One time you mentioned that about 80% of the population of this planet was from the vicinity of the constellation of Lyra.
We will have ascribed the idea that there is within your mass consciousness, I'll say, an identification with the idea of extending from another mass consciousness from the vicinity you call Lyra.
Okay.
This will be, again, though on a mass conscious level, being created in the present life, in a sense. You can, in one level, say that the migration of the mass consciousness did extend from Lyra to this system, and will represent to some degree some of the idea that is being enacted out within this present 25,000-year cycle at this time. This 25,000-year cycle, however, will represent an infinitesimal part of this entire over-mass consciousness. Only one of the fragments of this mass consciousness in the Lyra sense extended itself into this system at this time. You follow me?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Was the idea of religion related to that extension of that mass consciousness into this planet?
Only to some degree. There was the potential there within. It was reinforced by the extension of that fragment into the idea you call the negative civilizations, and the interplay of that counterpart civilization negatively with this counterpart civilization in that way, to reinforce the idea that the migration in part occurred because of the refusal to accept responsibility for what occurred within the Lyra system. You follow me?
Mm-hmm.
This will represent another magnitude of existence and another density level in a sense, and will represent certain echoings between various counterpart segment fragments of an, I'll say in your terminology, larger mass consciousness of which this mass consciousness is a part. Question.
Are there the concept of continuous channeling, is that going on Earth?
Are you alive?
Yes.
Thank you. You are always channeling. You follow me?
Well, actually, it's more a statement than a question. Let me say that it relates to the question I asked earlier about the distinction between the consciousness of a being and the physical manifestation that the being is using to play the game of life, say, here on Earth. It seems, in my reality, they're parallel.
The individual can consciously be aware that they are channeling all the ideas and realities and informations and situations and relationships that occur within their life in that way, and will not need to form the identity you call separation. You follow me?
I follow what you said, but it seems to me it would still follow that there's a distinction, not a disassociation, but a possibility of making a distinction between the spiritual being capable of existing independently of physical form and the physical form, which is more like a piece on a game board that we have here on Earth, where you choose a little counter and move it around the board like a chess piece or something.
All right. What is the point?
That if one is completely aware of himself as that spiritual entity completely differentiated from the physical form, you might then still choose that would, it seems to me, be appropriately described as continuously channeling.
Yes,
in other words,
a sense,
if you were to find the physical channel and have that and manifest yourself here on earth through a physical channel all the time instead of periodically as you do, and become in that way more integrated into the stream of life going on planet Earth, it seems to me that would be a difference than these channeling sessions.
Yes, in a sense.
And my question is, how much of that kind of what I'm calling continuous channeling is going on? How many are you aware? Is it a widespread phenomena where there are entities, consciousnesses, spiritual beings that are located elsewhere than Earth, continuously manifesting through physical channels here?
It is not common.
Okay.
Allow me to say that this will be because the physical being that has chosen to be born upon your planet has a right to their own life. You follow me?
Mm-hmm.
And in that way, only of certain kinds of service will be performed by allowing the physical individual to occupy their entire life with such a channeling.
Mm-hmm.
More, it will be appropriate. More will be appropriate in the sense of allowing the physical individual born here to then exemplify the effect of the channeling as it has come through them, so that they will be able to, I would say, manifest it in a form to which the other individuals upon your planet can then relate.
Mm-hmm.
Follow me?
Yes.
One moment.
But there's one thing I'm not tracking with you, which is this idea that a being is born. Bodies are born. But a being is part of the all that is.
So are bodies.
Immersed in the eternal now. Yes.
So are bodies.
Well, but a body didn't exist prior to conception
All
in
right.
physical form.
But understand that is simply a symbolic physical manifestation of the idea of the projection of consciousness into the idea of physical reality.
But it isn't the birth of a body that brings into existence the being associated with that body. The being is existing eternally.
Yes.
And merely chooses to become associated.
Yes.
With this body or that body.
Yes. So what?
Well, okay. So we agree on that point, but I had difficulty with the way you expressed, where you said beings choosing to be born on Earth doesn't fit in the way, doesn't seem to correspond with what we just agreed with. In other words, beings are not, by their nature, on Earth or not on Earth. They're in.
All right.
They're in
beingness choosing to project a portion of its consciousness into physical dimensionality. Will that be more clear?
Okay. Fair enough.
Thank you. All right.
I love this concept of counterparts. The reason I love it is many, many years ago I had this idea that as a spiritual being we could operate. Of course, at that time only two was a big deal to me. Two bodies simultaneously, and I thought, well, we could do it on different planets. And then I had the concept that we could do it on the same planet, and of course it was fabulous at the time. So now that I understand that it actually is done and we do have counterparts, I'm interested to know what is the percentage of, or approximately how prevalent is that on planet Earth? For
for any one individual?
For one individual to be manifesting two counterparts on Earth.
Very common. Allow me to say the average is around 100.
100 counterparts?
Yes.
How do you find out about it?
Yeah, that's my next question. I'd be interested in knowing who my counterparts are, just for the...
Oh, do not say just for the curiosity.
Let me say...
Just idle curiosity.
Okay, I don't use the word just as a judgment. Let me say simply then.
Because you're very curious.
Simply for the joy of the novelty of it.
It is not a novelty. It is serving a purpose.
Oh yes, the existence of the counterpart certainly serves.
All right.
I'm just saying.
Allow me to say that you are always as aware of them in whatever way you need to be aware of them as you need to be.
Sure, and I know, and the timing is perfect and all that good. And
you will never usually meet them all anyway.
Oh no, I don't expect you. One at this point in time will be real entertaining to me.
You may not recognize it when you see it.
But that's the point I'm trying to
This is also correct.
I don't
like it either.
That is also correct.
I get that too. Let me just say that at this point I do not consciously know of any. I also know that I very well may be in very close contact with one of my counterparts and not know it. I'm interested in knowing it consciously just for the fun of it. And I'm choosing this moment for the timing to be perfect and asking you to reflect my knowledge of it by telling me verbally.
You are very clever with words. One is in Japan.
Okay.
Period.
Thank you.
He is also involved in technical endeavors.
Maybe you'll work with him sometime.
Yeah.
What a novel idea.
Can you identify any for me in this area that I could actually be in physical contact with?
Question.
It seems to me that the two that I've met, I wouldn't say that I met them and found an immediate liking to them. One in particular I didn't particularly like at first, and the other one was, I was at a point where it just didn't matter to me. And then as I got to know them, then yes, I liked them a lot. Is that common, or is that just doesn't matter? It's just whatever.
Both.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bashar.
Yes!
Are we influenced by other entities, other extraterrestrials in our through film or literary media or any form of media? Is there energy?
There is a reflection in what you term to be your media of choices you are agreeing to share. You're not being influenced. You follow me? Mm-hmm. You are influencing yourselves. You follow me? Mm-hmm. According to agreements that you share on levels that are not totally yet conscious. You are then creating for yourself reflections of this subconscious sharing so that you can allow it to be conscious in a way that is acceptable for you. And then you say, well, I feel a connection to this idea. There must be some influence here. Follow me.
Mm-hmm. Are there any particular
you know what they are.
That you would...
You know what they are.
For myself.
Yes. Also for some of the mass consciousness, which strike a chord within you that seems to represent the vibration you feel represents the mass conscious agreement with the idea of other consciousness outside your world. Mm-hmm. You follow me?
I do. Okay.
Bashar?
Yes?
Last year, I had a situation where I went out of my body, that's all I know how to say it as, and was in a trance, whatever, was not conscious of what was happening in my physical body, and I came back into my body and immediately started writing, and I wrote for about 6 hours an incredible story about...
Incredible?
It was incredible to me, because
If you found it incredible, how could you have written it?
Well, I didn't write it totally, I wrote notes on it.
But understand the experience had to be very credible.
Credible.
Otherwise you would not have believed it worth writing at all.
You are so succinct with your words. Incredible was not best choice. Anyway.
It was to reflect the ideal within you. Yes, it was.
Okay, it was a credible story. What I'm wondering is, I felt when I woke up that had been had come from somewhere else other than myself. that the information has been given to me, the idea has been given to me? Is that simply my own need to not claim my own creativity, or
Not
is
really.
it possible?
It is both in a sense. You, in a sense, went out and made a connection which was also, in a sense, then offered to you as well. It is always both. You follow me?
Yeah.
It always takes two in that way. You have to agree to make the connection, then the connection can come. You follow me?
I do.
Therefore, both you are creating it, and the other consciousness is sharing it with you. You follow me?
I do. And my next question is, I've had a lot of visions in the last year about planets and writing and things of that sort. Is that possible that will be the way my writing comes through, or?
You tell me. Does it excite you?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it excites me. And
I am very excited now.
I haven't been fully ready to vibrate at that high energy. I've not been fully ready to do that. I felt like I've had to make adjustments in my physical vehicle.
Oh, what?
To be able to do that. And I've been doing those for the last 3 years. And I feel like I have some blockage right in my left shoulder. And as that blockage is removed, that things will come easier. And I'm trying to work on that now. And if you could give me any insight on what I can do. I know I'm changing the moment. Stand up, sit down in a moment.
Nope, stand up.
Okay, I'm up.
Turn around.
Oh, no, I'm in this phase. Okay. Okay.
Close your eyes, turn around, face away from the physical channel.
Okay.
Present your shoulder to the physical channel. What are you choosing to create within your imagination at this time with regard to your shoulder?
Resistance to healing.
All right, why? May I ask you a question?
Of course you may. I ask you so many. You certainly can ask me one.
Oh, thank you. How did you know there was a healing going on?
Because I resonate with the healing energy.
Then there is no resistance. You follow me?
The musculature of the vehicle feels like it's resisting.
No. The musculature of the vehicle is totally reflective of your consciousness. Allow me to say that when you can recognize the idea of the vibration of the resonance of a healing, you are healing itself. You are the healing vibration itself. You follow me? In that moment, you are in balance. Only as you choose to create the next moment again out of balance do you perpetuate the idea of the cycle of the continuation of that discomfort. But you can know, if you choose to, that if you can perceive the idea of the healing resonance, then you are of that reality. And at the moment you are of that reality, then you are in perfect balance and do not require the idea of needing a healing. How do you feel?
Good, thank you.
I have a question.
One moment. All right.
There seems to be a great deal of channeling of a number of different people, such as yourself. Is that part of? Are you and the other people channeling in touch with each other?
Yes.
And is the increase in the amount of channeling going on part of a conscious plan for Earth?
It is part of your conscious plan for Earth, yes. It is the agreement, as we have said, that you have made with other consciousness that vibrates in a similar kind. It is the idea that you are now beginning to experience the blending rather than the separation of your own different levels of consciousness. And you are expressing this in your ability in that way to view that your sensitivities extend beyond what you consider to be your immediate physical surroundings. And that you can be in communication with any portion of all that is. Follow me? This is a part of the idea of the blending of consciousness that then leads to the transformation into fourth density.
So the increase in channeling is both a manifestation of the movement toward fourth density and conversely contributing to that motion.
Yes, very good. In other words, by analogy, recognize that there have always been what you term to be radio waves in your universe. Yes?
Yes.
Recognize that when you built radio receivers, then you simply became aware of it.
Right.
And the willingness to have built the receiver in the first place then perpetuates the continuing momentum of that idea.
Got it.
Thank you.
Sorry.
Yes?
The word, or there was a people some time ago, Druid.
Druid, yes.
They were an ancient people here. Were they from here?
Oh, yes. They were what you term to be a remnant offshoot of Atlantis. They were, in a sense, expressing an idea in terms, as they could understand it, of a return, in a sense, to nature, because they felt that it was the removal of themselves from nature that caused the destruction within Atlantis. Thus, they represent a faction that in one way, shape, or form provided themselves with the symbology of the idea that what was required for the balancing of their own karmic, I will say, idea within the idea of the creation and the destruction of Atlantis was in that way the return to the idea of the natural cycles and the reflection of nature within themselves. You follow me?
Yes. Then they were after Lemuria.
After Atlantis.
And they were after Atlantis.
Yes.
Okay.
What happened to Atlantis?
In this way, recognize that there was what you term to be the subterranean chambers of seismic activity, which were, in your terminology, set off in a negative way by the usage of vibrational technology, which was used, in a sense, negatively. A chain reaction within the vibrational resonance of the seismic activities as per usage of technology in a negative way. Now, recognize that what you term to be your present United States of America is an almost exact historical parallel because it contains many of the same people. And you are, once again, experiencing at the time of the end of the transition in this way of one cycle into another cycle, the opportunity to realize you have the capability in that way of destroying yourselves again.
Right.
Now you are choosing the, as you say, flip side of the coin. You follow me? Yes. Many of the individuals who are in that way, not violently opposed, but vocally opposed to the idea of what you term to be nuclear annihilation, will be from that time in Atlantis.
Yes, I understand.
Thank you.
What was Lemuria?
Lemuria, in that way, will be the predecessor from which Atlantis was a colony in that way, and will be responsible for another level density vibration upon your planet, markedly the idea you call second density level vibration in that way, and will have represented the idea that there was no, I'll say, so much the idea of analyzation and thought within the individuals existing within Lemuria, but direct instinctive relationship to nature. Follow me?
Yes, I do. And where was it located?
What you term to be now Pacific Ocean.
And it just sank, or?
It was a product of what would be more or less termed natural cycle seismic activity, yes.
I see. Are the Pleiadians in continuous commerce with Earth at this time?
Yes.
And would it be possible for one of us with our physical bodies to travel with them?
Yes.
How does one go about doing that?
Why don't you wait until one invites you aboard their craft, and then you will find out.
How do you invite
Give an invitation.
Yeah.
Be ready.
Very good.
You what?
What?
Be ready.
Here they come.
Now, recognize that this, again, is part of the timing for the entire mass consciousness. There is no need to rush anything.
Who would Reagan have been at the time of Atlantis?
Do you mean at the time of the destruction?
Well, you said many of the same people were...
Yes, but realize you have many lives in Atlantis as well. It spanned a great deal of
at the time of
time.
the destruction, yeah.
There was the opportunity prior, in that way, 300 years prior to the destruction of this last life in Atlantis, for that individual of what is termed to be the idea of priesthood in a way. But understand there was a high degree of the idea of self-materiality at the time. You follow me?
Within his priesthood?
Yes.
Self-materiality, you mean identification with material?
You would call it greed.
That's a technical question.
All right.
When you're in your spacecraft, do you simulate gravity, or do you live in a zero-G environment?
There is a gravitational field.
That is simulated to create?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. How do you construct a self-aware computer? What's the basic technological principle and materials?
There are many different ways that has been accomplished in many different types of manner in many different civilizations. Recognize in this way that first and foremost what you will be quote-unquote constructing is a symbolic representation of your ability to communicate with your own higher consciousness. You follow me?
Yes.
Thus, that is the basic foundation, as you would understand it, metaphysical principle. Mostly, it will be of what you term to be crystalline latticework construction. But it will represent itself in that way in terms of light being the activation principle. What is allowed at this time will be the description of what you may term to be metallic plates, between which are metallic, plastic, crystalline construction, film sheets. 3 metal plates, 2 film sheets in between, forming a sandwich which allows there to be the conductivity of the exchange of what you term to be the idea you express as valence between the electronic clouds surrounding the nucleus of each atom within to exchange through this membrane filter in between the metal plates. In this way, this will interact with the idea of forming the idea of what you term to be the synaptic gap within the brain, which will then include all the probabilities that your own mechanical brain then allows itself to perceive as it chooses. Follow me?
Yes, I do.
This material will mostly be the idea you call again magnesium and also chromium.
These would be the metals?
Yes.
Okay, and the plastic material?
There will be some idea of what you term to be the polycarbonate, but there will be the idea somewhat again of the chromium. You have not quite yet or are just on the verge of discovering how you can have in this way the idea of metal plastic or plastic metal.
Okay.
You will now explore this idea within your own literature. That is all we can say at this time.
Okay. How about another question on another subject?
All right.
You mentioned that, let me ask this one. I'm curious about the frame rate of time itself as we know time to exist. And I'm wondering what would happen if we synchronize, say, the strobing of a light with the frame rate of time as we know it to exist.
Understand that light is synchronized with the strobing of time because the idea you call light is the representation of the barrier of that universe you call your own.
Okay, I get that. Well, I'm wondering if there was some way with something that we could mechanically approximate, or not approximate, but match the frame rate of time. I'm thinking that it would create some very interesting and useful phenomena.
Yes, there can be what you term to be the creation of static doorways through which you can then allow yourself to merge into different dimensionalities and parallelities.
Mm-hmm. And what energy form could I use to match the frame rate of time, and what would be that frequency?
Next question.
Wise guy, I get it.
What is the Pleiadians' purpose for having continuous commerce with Earth at this time?
Much in the same as we have described in general before. You follow me?
Sharon, just...
Yes.
There's a book published that contains photographs of a saucer-like vehicle. Presumably there were many contacts made with people in Switzerland.
Yes.
And you were aware of that.
Yes.
And it was described as the latest Pleiadian space technology enables them to travel from there to here in 7 minutes.
Yes.
Do you have similar technology from where you
Yes.
So that in 9 years or 7 years when people from your planet choose to come here, it will not be a long trip?
Understand in that way that for us there is approximately the idea of what you call 17½ minutes in preparation of the craft, in removal of our craft from our system, and the gravitational tensor field anomalies within. Then there is, in your terminology, the shift into what you would understand to be a hyper jump, and then the re-emergence near your system, and then approximately 13 to 15 minutes of emerging into your system. Understand that the jump itself takes no time whatsoever. Any time that is, I'll say in that way, transmitted to you in terms of the duration of a trip involves the time spent in preparation, not in the actual jump.
I understand.
In making such a jump, how do you navigate so that you will come out?
In that way, computer understands the idea that when it unlocks itself from one reality, what is presented around and about it are all probable realities, and in that way it is simply a matter of, in a sense, picking the vibration of the one you wish to go to.
Is it as simple as saying, gee, I'd like to be near Earth? Basically that simple?
In a sense, though we do not say G.
But we have to say G in order to make it simple.
But it's accomplished. It's accomplished, if you will, mechanically or electromechanically by the
sense, yes.
By the machinery. It is, in other words, there is actual machinery that performs this function.
Yes, as you would recognize it, yes. You would call it a machine, yes. You would call it a spacecraft.
Okay. It isn't merely a group of people thinking nice thoughts and then they arrive.
Oh, yes, it is consciousness. We recognize the idea of any physical symbol to be an extension of consciousness. But we also recognize that we have chosen to exemplify our symbology in terms of the machine at this time for the purpose that we share between your civilization and our civilization. And for many ideas we also exemplify within our civilization as we relate to other civilizations. It will be a convenient form of reference, you follow me?
Yes.
Thus, it will be manifested as a machine, yes.
Could our bodies survive on your planet?
Yes.
There's similar air, so forth?
Yes.
How about where the Pleiadians come from?
Yes.
How about Sirius?
Not really.
What's different?
They exist in a very dense energy field. To you, it would seem in that way almost liquid energy. It would seem in that way to be a very intense, dense gravitational pull in that sense. In that way you could be acclimated, but you would not exist in anywhere near the same vibrational pattern that you recognize to be exactly what you call physical reality. You would be, in a sense, a stepped-up vibration, and you would be somewhat, in your estimation, non-physical. You would be balancing, in a sense, between energy and matter.
Well, that's what they do.
Yes.
What density are they in?
They are also third, but on another level of third. They represent the higher consciousness of the triad vibration, which is represented by their civilization, our civilization, and your civilization.
So we're all moving toward the fourth together?
Yes.
And the fourth is characterized by?
The idea of the integration of these different levels of consciousness and the interaction between them.
And there are other densities beyond the fourth?
Yes. There is fifth, sixth, and seventh. Then there is a completely different octave that represents another magnitude of reality altogether.
And there are
an infinite number of these.
And are you in touch with civilizations that are in the next octave?
Only in one sense. We are aware of some of them. We are in touch only in a very limited way at this time with those of which we are aware. But not really as you would understand it. Mostly, it will be the idea of within fourth density and mostly again within third. We are aware of some fifth. We are aware of some sixth. A couple of seventh.
Okay, there is a channel. There's an entity who is channeling through a physical channel here in Los Angeles, and the entity calls herself Leah and describes herself as participating in the sixth density. Are you in contact with her?
In a sense, yes.
And there was also several books published about an entity channeling that called itself Ra.
Yes, sixth density, yes.
And he's also sixth density.
Understand that in that density it is mostly what you are terming an association of consciousness that does not recognize so much the idea of separation within itself. it almost recognizes itself as the actual dimension which it occupies. You follow me?
Yes, I got that.
Thank you.
Bashar?
One moment.
Okay.
There will be, in your terms of time, a few more of your minutes left. Continue.
Could you tell me about some of the energy that I've been feeling right now? I've been feeling rushes. Well, actually for a while now in my life, I've been feeling rushes of energy. Sometimes it feels like it's this rush of energy, and then it feels like a whole spinning thing, like as if I've had a few drinks or something. That kind of feels great. I love it. It's just kind of floating around. And then tonight, I've been feeling a lot of energy rushes, and then just like a few minutes ago, I felt like a very faint pain in the chest area. It wasn't like a pain that hurt or anything. It was just like a pain, and then another like rush of energy right after that.
It is simply one more phase of the integration of yourself with all your parts.
Okay.
It is a part of this entire idea which is now manifesting and will continue to do so throughout what you term your 9th, 10th, and 11th months.
So then, is my body and other people's bodies also getting accustomed to feeling more energy working with
you are sticking your psychic toes in the water. Yes.
Okay.
I have a brief question. Can you explain aliens? The sister energy in our relative vicinity right now?
Yes.
Okay. And the negative infiltration, I feel, is that real, or am I letting that out of proportion?
It is in a sense real, but it is totally under your control.
Okay, I understand. Thank you.
Bashar, do you know...
One moment.
How do you use anger on your planet? In what situations would you use it, and how do you use it?
Understand, for the most part, there is no need for us to experience that tool at this time. Recognize, however, in that way, the idea again of anger, in its natural state, is simply the realigning of your clearness of vision of your own path. You follow me?
I understand what you're saying, although from an experiential standpoint, I'm not sure that I have experienced it in that way. I'm aware of the multitude of shells that involve judgment and so on.
Have you? Now, allow me to say, there is also a negative connotation to this term within your society as well. But, do you understand the idea? Perhaps the connotations are mostly negative of this term. Do you understand the idea of righteousness?
Yes.
Do you understand how it can have a positive manifestation in simply hearing something you know does not vibrate according to how you know yourself to be, and simply then standing within your own self-aware knowing righteousness in a positive sense and simply saying, by allowing myself to see that reflection, I can then, through my swelling of knowledge within myself, stand firm within the integrity of my own awareness.
I understand that.
All right, now, that invokes the same energy that you use for anger. And you can simply, in a sense, express it as the idea, not again in a negative way, but of discrimination between a vibration which is you and a vibration which is not. You follow me?
I think so. It sounds like what you're speaking of is the anger that one experiences when they see an injustice and they say, I don't like that.
All right, yes, in a sense.
That's different from the kind of anger that one gets when one's late for a business meeting, and he gets a flat tire.
Yes, in a sense, can be.
Yeah.
You understand the basic concept, though the terminology of your language will have made it somewhat sketchy.
Yeah, well, we use the same term for apparently, two very close and easily indistinguished emotions. I mean, we don't tend to distinguish the emotions, although they apparently are distinguishable.
All right, one way to differentiate will be that what you term to be, again, the natural anger will approximately last 10 to 15 seconds. Then what comes is action.
Right. Which I guess can be applied to a flat tire, too.
Oh, yes, it can.
If you don't put all kinds of judgment on it.
Yes. It is the judgment which allows the anger to continue on into guilt, frustration, rage, and hatred. The creating, in a sense, of artificial emotions.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, one moment. Okay. I've been reading about astrology lately, and I've been reading about Mercury retrogrades, which we're in right now. And the information I've gotten is that it affects certain things like appliances, electronic gadgets, and cars, and mechanical things like that. And they advise that you should never buy them during Mercury retrograde.
All right, now, you understand this is a symbol again. But it does reflect the idea of the overall patterns within your mass consciousness that you have agreed to share in one sense. Mercury will be symbolic in that way, yes, of what you may term to be the dark side of technology. Therefore, as you begin to allow yourself to relate to that vibration, you will then, yes, experience the idea of technology gone awry. You follow me?
Why when it's going in retrograde, but not when it's going direct?
Do you understand that in your terminology, retrograde means going backwards?
Yes.
You follow me?
Right.
Well, that have answered your question.
I don't really understand why it would affect appliances and things in that way.
It represents in your vibrations the dark side of technology.
When it goes backwards?
Yes. You follow me?
Yeah.
But it is only a symbol. It does not have to have this effect. But there is within the mass conscious vibration an idea, a vibrational pattern that does reflect this particular idea. Thus, if you identify with it and go with that flow, then any idea at that time that you manifest within that vibration will simply exhibit very obediently that idea of the retrograde technological effect.
Well, it seems that they don't have to identify with the idea. NASA keeps launching the space shuttle during the last 2 Mercury retrogrades, and they've had trouble with it, even though they didn't believe in it.
Understand, they did not consciously acknowledge it, but they are a part of the idea of the mass conscious belief system. You follow me?
Yeah.
Part of that idea will also have served a purpose to allow them to know that in some way, shape, or form, they can also take that factor into account. Now, recognize that what you term to be those missions still accomplished much of what they sought to accomplish, no matter during what phase. You follow me?
Right.
Bashar, do you have any questions? Do I have a question, or is it time to quit?
Briefly.
The other night, with the telescope, I saw Jupiter and its 4 moons, and I've been...
4 of its moons.
4 of its moons. I understand there are more than that, but I saw the 4 closest to it in alignment. And also the...
the 4 largest.
The 4 largest, not the closest one.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I didn't know that. I just thought it was the closest one. I also saw the red bands, and I understand that there are different gases and everything, astronomically speaking. But what I'm wondering is, when you see the moon or Venus, particularly, you see all the potholes and just absolutely, it feels like no light at all coming from there. I think that's probably a misnomer.
Understand, you do not see, quote-unquote, potholes on Venus.
Yes. Crater holes.
You do not see crater holes on Venus. It is cloud-enshrouded completely. You follow me?
Right, I saw the phases of Venus.
Yes.
Okay, so
you cannot see the surface from your planet of Venus. You see the cloud layers above.
Right. So Mars is the one that we have the meteorites that's just totally done. So from outside of Earth, people cannot see our mountains and things, correct? They just see the atmosphere?
No. There are many times when there is many breaks in your atmosphere. Recognize that your own individuals who have traveled into space have taken what you call photographs of your planet from space. You can see the mountains. You follow me?
Right. Most of the ones I've seen just showed the clouds over there. Jupiter, we're sending a mission to Jupiter in the next few years, and we've never been close enough to get past the heat of the atmosphere. There obviously is something on the other side of the atmosphere. Is there life that we're going to be able to acknowledge at that time?
There will be, at this time, discovered certain principles with regard to the idea you understand as life. But in that way, they will be mostly what you understand to be chemical components. You follow me?
Yes.
Yes. Is there life on Mars at this time?
Not at this time.
But there was a civilization.
Yes.
The picture of the Sphinx that I've seen on Mars, is that existent on the planet?
Not exactly as you have pictured it, but yes. It will represent, to some degree, natural formation, but also it will represent another type of density perception, which we will go into in another time.
Thank you very much for sharing.
We will then thank you for your sharing of consciousness, and once again allow us in that way to extend our unconditional love, which, if you wish to perceive it, means that you are creating it for yourself as well, and for that unconditional love in creating the sharing, we will thank you for your very lovely gift. We will say good night.
Good night.